Good evening and welcome to yet another evening of learning with Digital Excellence Pharma Academy. In the last 2 weeks, there has been a lot of activity on the social media, especially regarding a notice given by a leading group of hospital chains that medical representatives will henceforth have to pay a particular fee for every visit, and that payment is only for entry into their premises. It does not guarantee you an interaction with the doctor. So obviously there was a flurry of comments from the pharma professionals, and it was viewed by more than 40,000 people from the Indian pharma industry, showing that definitely that this is an issue that's of great consequence to the pharma industry as well as to the pharma sales professionals. And this has further accentuated the problems faced by the field force people after the COVID lockdown. According to many of the polls that we have run, only about 40% of the pharma field force people said that they were able to see more than 75% of their doctors as compared to pre COVID levels. So that leaves a huge 60% of the field force having to make less than 60% doctors as compared to before COVID. So these are not new problems. COVID has only accentuated the problems. And today we will look at another model which Hanno Wolfram has been talking about for a long time. In fact, he wrote a book 5 years back about key account management in pharma and how the trends are changing in the pharmaceutical industry. Today, individual doctors, in many cases, like in the hospitals, do not have the power of prescription. They can at best recommend, but there are various decision makers within the hospital who ensure that a particular drug is procured and stored and made available for prescriptions. So, we will look briefly at some of the highlights raised by Hanno Wolfram in his book as well as in his webinar with us. So, this is a wonderful book written by Hanno Wolfram, and it is meant especially for the pharmaceutical industry. So, if you have not got a copy of it, do get a hold of a copy of it. And if you need a workshop from Hanno Wolfram in your organization, do let us know, and we'll be glad to organize one for you. So these are some of the points which Hanno has highlighted about key account management, and he has defined each word in detail and has given you a roadmap of how you can adapt key account management in your organizations, as well as covered a whole gamut of how going forward it will not be the individual doctors but a decision making unit, and that will require special skills which he is discussing in the webinar. So these are some of the key learning points. And for the next 12 minutes, you can see the highlights of the webinar and the question answer session, which Hanno Wolfram has done for us at Digital Excellence Pharma Academy. So over to Hanno Wolfram for the next 12 minutes.
Sales model that lasted for 40 years cannot prevail in the future. So visiting doctors, telling them the story about my big product, which is the best and the most appropriate and probably the cheapest and the most, etc., etc. This model definitely is gone, but still happening today in many cases. A reason for this is that the profitability of this industry still is pretty high. Driven and accelerated by this COVID-19 pandemic, indeed, doctors are going to be fed up with these marketing messages being hammered on their desk. So they do not like it any longer, and there's little difference if it's face-to-face or if it's online. So these tools, replacing an old habit with a novel tool does not really make a big change. Physicians' decision power for a drug is reducing. It's marginalizing in many, many countries. There are more and more decision makers showing up besides the singular physician. The word key account management, or KAM as an acronym, is loaded with perceptions and ideas which actually talk more about a rebadged hospital sales force. And the thing is very simple. The chain of decision making for a product from the very first top state governmental health ministry decision making down to the prescription, the consumption, and the influencers who do all these things. If you go through this, you will find out that there is many stations and points in the chain that you would have to interact with to make a business ready for the future. This acronym, or the three words, it's key, account, and management. Now, in order to not repeat the mistake that everyone does, make it understandable and have a coherent and consistent understanding of what these three letters mean, let me talk about an account. An account, by definition, and it's not mine, the difference between a single client and an account is that a client is an individual, and an account, by definition, is an organization. So an account is, by definition, an organization. The word is derived from the accounting business, and you get a specific line in an accountant's papers 100 years ago already, only when you are of a big relevance for a company and if you are an organization. So in account management, we really discuss business to business. The word key account, I mean, today in pharma, and it's not only India, it's almost everywhere, the word key is applied to every account. There hardly is a difference between an account and a key account. But key should only be very few. Not very far from here, there is a company that is the world market leader with more than 90% market share in pharmaceutical production machinery. And this company, and I know some of these people in person, they have globally 5 key accounts in the world. And these are their most relevant accounts across the world that they have. So this is key. A key account is of a major importance for your business's future. In the third word in key account management is the word management. Now, it's a pretty sloppy usage of language when people keep telling me, yeah, we manage the account. No, they do this themselves, be sure. Yeah, but what the management means in this acronym is that if you want to cope with an organization with plenty of people working for and making common decisions, it's not that one single person could have all the expertise, knows all the details that you need to come to grips and to come to a contractual agreement or to partner for the next 10 years with an organization like, for example, a hospital chain. Then you need people who are better than the key account manager himself, people who are legally better, they know all the legal frameworks, those who know the human resource parts of it, who know the logistics about it, all these things. So the key account manager's task is to identify, appoint, and manage the people of his own company to cope and to succeed and fulfill the needs and requirements inside an account. And this is what is the AM standing for. He manages the account team of his own company. That definitely will succeed. This is why in my book and elsewhere, you can find this sentence that key account managers can be the gold reserve of a company. It's not an everyday job, but it's really something special. You need to identify a specific structure for your respective company, looking into your respective company's future. But imagine you had a product management here and you had a client management there, and everything around clients is in one person's hands and managed about client satisfaction, about field force management, market access or support, you name it, however it could look like. And already this change from product management plus client management at the same level, reporting to the general manager, it's pretty clear that a company has to decide for its future. Very simple. How do we want to look like and be in the future? Do you still want to be pill pushers, or do we want to be healthcare or become healthcare company? Software sells hardware means as well brainware. It is not all about digital, but of course, digital today is a major playground for brainware. I mean, if you imagine that in Europe, very recently, artificial intelligence succeeded in the diagnostics of melanoma of the skin. Yeah, they had several trials done, the best dermatologists against the computers, and the computers won the race. Very simple. And computers do not sleep. They work 24/7, yeah? And you can simply feed pictures and x-rays and what you name it into them, and they will provide you with a diagnosis which is more precise than those from the best dermatologists in the world. This is an example where brainware is a better delivery way than the hardware itself. You must have a true and honest analysis of what are we doing today. And usually you have separated departments with walls between them, and everyone is doing his or her best, but hardly any is working together. Yeah. So after you mapped the status quo, you describe the intended new. There are some buzzwords which sound like cooperation everywhere. It is about research and development, medical and marketing, finance and logistics, all work together for the benefit and the sake of the own company and the benefit of those people who need all this information. So map the status quo, describe the intended new, and then you design an optimal organizational structure. Then you draft a competency and skills map, and then you introduce and change. Imagine a person from a pharmaceutical industry would sit inside a hospital, helping this hospital to solve all their problems already indicated, would help and consult and assist this hospital to solve the problems of everyday life. Today, medical representatives, they talk when they sit face to face 70 or 80% of the time. A key account manager needs to listen 80% of the time and ask questions to find out where their problem lies and what they could do about it and how this company could help them. A key account manager needs knowledge. He must be ready to acquire new knowledge and utilize it. So it like medical knowledge, like marketing and industry knowledge, must be really willing to learn and shows readiness to internalize and fully adopt new findings. This is social competencies, personalities, and knowledge. And of course, business acumen. Yeah. So it's all about business. It's true transactional business. Here you establish a contractual binding agreement between an account and a pharmaceutical company in the best case. Building around the center of patient treatment areas, building around this something that is improving patient outcome. This should be the top line. So then you need business sense and market orientation. You need an idea that your plans that you have, because key account management has a lot to do with planning and not being on the street all day. So resource management is a big skill for a key account manager. And of course, a key account manager must have a sound judgment about the cost that will be incurred when he starts this and that business approach to an account to create a lasting and robust relationship. Effectiveness is to do the right thing, and efficiency means to do things right. And you always must answer these two questions in this specific order. Do I do the right thing? And do I do these things in the right way? So effectiveness and efficiency. If you want to improve patients' lives, patient outcome, therapeutic success, if you do this, you improve the success of the individual healthcare provider. When patients feel better outcome, they will be happy that they've been in this hospital. The hospital creates more reputation with better outcomes. So all these things, they are linked together, and it's like a big gearbox where everything is working with everything.